Hi, my name is Andrew Pang. Welcome to another edition of CMS Forex News. Today is Wednesday, July 30th, 2008. Preliminary data showed that Japan's industrial production declined 2% in June compared to May. It was slightly worse than the pace expected by a consensus of economists. Japan's main trading partners are all showing slowing growth and therefore weaker demand as companies around the world face higher credit costs. Meanwhile, Australian building approvals fell 0.7% in June, undershooting forecasts of a 1% increase. On an annual basis, approvals are down 7.8%. The Aussie yen pair sank 100 pips from its session open near a 103 to trade near the 102 level. The building approvals data had a clear impact around its release, and the Aussie continued falling overnight and into New York trading. The New Zealand dollar is also on the defensive these days, as expectations for more interest rate cuts from the Reserve Bank increase. The bank's governor, Alan Bollard, said borrowing costs have room to fall in an earlier meeting. The Kiwi US dollar pair is down about 120 pips from yesterday's intraday high. European economic sentiment fell 5.3 points to 89.5 in July, the sharpest decline since the month after the September 11th terrorist attacks. The consumer confidence portion of the index declined to negative 20 as consumers faced the highest inflation in 16 years. Soaring energy costs, the euro's climb against the dollar, and the credit crunch are all working to pressure the eurozone business activity. The business climate indicator fell to negative 0.21, with orders and expectations for industrial goods falling. In a separate release, the Bloomberg Retail PMI stood at 46, another month of contraction as the figure is below the 50 boom-bust level. In Switzerland, the leading index fell to 0.90, more than expected by economists. This puts the index, which tries to predict activity in 6 months' time, at a 5-year low. European stocks gained overnight, which boosted the euro-Swiss franc. The pair's overnight rally stalled following the European releases, but continued to climb afterwards. The 1.63 level was important resistance last week and yesterday, and the pair managed to stay above it after a slide to begin the global session. In the U.S., the ADP measure of employment change for July was an increase of 9,000, handily beating the expected decline of 55,000. It was welcoming news to dollar bulls, who used the data to bid up on stocks and the U.S. dollar during the New York Open. Still, the number was not impressive in its own right and shows that the labor market in the U.S. remains weak. The dollar-yen pair fell overnight after yesterday's sharp rally to trade near 107.80 prior to the New York Open. The dollar got a boost following the better-than-expected jobs report, but the level around 108.25 proved to be an important point of resistance. With stocks giving up some of their earlier gains and oil prices climbing in early afternoon trading, the dollar pared its gains and was below its open for the session by 2 p.m. Eastern. In Canada, producer prices rose 1.3% in June, more than expected, and May's figure was revised up as well. Higher prices for oil and coal products were up 6.1% in June. They were the main contributors to the increase in prices at factory gates. The raw materials price index continued its upward trend, climbing 4.4% in June, up from its 3.1% rise in May. In a battle of two currencies favored as destinations for carry trade, the Australian dollar-Canadian dollar pair showed a sharp slide in favor of the loonie. Australia's weaker data and the faster producer inflation from Canada made this a one-sided trade this session. Since yesterday's high near 0.98, the pair is down about 150 pips. Tonight, there will be several more releases from Australia, including retail sales, trade balance, and private sector credit. Japan will post its manufacturing PMI and figures on earnings and housing starts. New Zealand reviews a survey on business confidence. Overnight, Switzerland and the Eurozone post data on consumer inflation, while Germany and the Eurozone release their unemployment rates. Tomorrow, the U.S. and Canada post GDP data, while the U.S. also releases its weekly jobless claims. And that wraps it up for the day in Forex News. Join us again right here at cmsfx.com.